Hey everybody, this is Tony.
And this is Paul. We're coming at you from the Friends for Life podcast, where we discuss the ongoing lives and issues of people with developmental disabilities to spark positive change in the field.
And we have a lot of fun doing it.
Making sure that individuals are reaching the goals they have set for themselves. That's one of the many goals of Assured Health Services. If you're looking for a residential care provider or searching for ADS services, Assured Health is your go-to place. Assured Health, helping others succeed. Learn more at assuredhealthohio.com or call 419-442-8066.
What does RHDD specialize in?
Well, RHDD stands for Residential Home for the Developmentally Disabled. Actually, we just had our 47th birthday on Saturday.
Ooh, wow.
We were incorporated as a residential provider. There were several families of adult children with IDD who got together 48 years ago and decided they wanted a different option for their adult child. And in the 60s and in the 70s, the options for residential housing wasn't great.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. So these families decided they wanted something different for their loved one, and they partnered with the Coshocton County Board. It wasn't the county board at the time. All of our language has changed.
Yeah.
But the Coshocton County Board and these families incorporated RHDD. And we started with one group home and then grew into 2 group homes within just a few years. In the 90s, when the Medicaid waiver came into existence, we were one of the first providers in the state to become certified as an OBRA waiver. At the time, it was called OBRA. Mm-hmm. It was replaced by the IO waiver, which we were also certified in, and supported living. Actually, supported living was the precursor to the Medicaid waiver. And now, today, 47 years later, we do just about everything that a person would need. We try to specialize in all of the services in-house that somebody would need. So if you need housing, we can help with that. If you need a job, we can help with that. Transportation, home modifications, adaptive equipment, remote services. We try to do everything in order to help people live independently in the community.
Yeah, 47 years.
Yep. And I've been there for 32.
Wow.
She's no more than 22 people. She's lying.
You and Tony have a lot in common then, because Tony's been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
But before we get into the weeds here, if you've been doing this for 32 years, where did that come from? Because you don't just get into this field on accident, it seems like. Something happens, or you know somebody, or sometimes you get into an accident like me, but...
Okay, so this story evolved into something now that I call my why. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that was what was happening to me when I was 17 years old, but I was working as a cashier my senior year in high school, at a grocery store in South Zanesville, Ohio, and there was a mom and her son who came through my line every week. Mm-hmm. And this little boy, oh my gosh, he was the cutest thing you'll ever see in your whole life. But he was very quiet, very reserved, and through time, he loosened up and decided I was one of his people. And eventually, when he would come through the line, he would climb right over my conveyor belt, and he would sit here on my hip, and we would check out his mom's groceries. And come to find out, he had IDD. Mm-hmm. I had no idea, and I didn't frankly care. He was just precious. And his mom was a case manager. We now call those SSAs. His mom was a case manager at the Muskingum County Board. And it was just so strange. And she's like, have you ever considered working in the field with people with disabilities? Mm-hmm. And I was 17. I had absolutely no idea what she was talking about. So we talked about it a little bit, and she gave me some direction for where I should go, and I did. And it's just been the most amazing experience and blessing of my life. Being able to do this kind of work is just an amazing blessing.
That is awesome. So what kind of position and how do you do it today?
What is my position?
Yes, and how do you, how do you service our individuals these days?
Well, I wish I still did. I'm the director now.
Okay.
When I started with RHDD, I was a part-time resident assistant, which are now called direct support professionals. And that was my very favorite job over all of the jobs that I've held within the agency. I've done payroll and HR and training and local management. My favorite job was always working hands-on with people with developmental disabilities in their homes. So now, the way I get to help is advocating, coming to things like this and learning from the vendors, all of the different technologies that are out there, the different services that are out there and available to help people to be independent. I serve on another board that represents provider agencies throughout the state of Ohio. It's called OPRA. And from that work, I get to be involved with legislative change and the budget cycle, and that's fantastic, and it impacts everybody. But I have to tell you, this experience being at Synergy has just recharged my batteries. The vibe here is just so light and fun, and it's just very different from the business conferences that I have to go to. This has been wonderful.
That is the vibe we've been getting to. So this is our first year here.
Really?
We've been out podcasting most of the day, but is there anything that's really, what's some of your favorite stuff that you've seen so far? Because everybody that's come through has just told us how amazing it is.
I really love it. And I've seen it myself, and I didn't realize that this was something that I would witness here. People with disabilities are treated no differently than you or me in this environment, and I'm anonymous. I'm not the director of anything. I'm not a board member of anything. I'm Lisa. I'm taking in information just like people with developmental disabilities are sitting here at the table with me, and it's how it's supposed to be everywhere outside of this building, and you just don't see that a lot. But the vibe here has just been remarkable.
Yeah, and another big shout out to Kalahari, because I was just helping an individual who had a situation. She was kind of lost, but I came across someone else who that happened to last night, and the Kalahari staff were very open and very understanding and helped the individual find their place. And it was just. It was one of those things. It's like we're slowly changing the landscape.
Yes, we are.
And anytime we think that we're not, we're actually doing a disservice.
I agree.
So I'm just happy that so many like-minded people are not letting common stigmas hold them back.
Yes. We've come so far from the 60s, from the old way of looking at people with developmental disabilities. It's been remarkable watching the transition over the years. Just remarkable.
Yes.
The Reliable Drug and Alcohol Testing Clinic is a leading provider and convenient source of pre-employment and occupational type testing. Their clinic provides services to a wide range of private businesses, healthcare facilities, and municipal and county courts. Reliable is an independent, locally owned clinic. As a result, they provide their services at a lower cost than the major hospitals, have faster turnaround times on test results, and eliminate the long waits typically incurred at these larger facilities. To learn more, visit reliabledrugtest.com.
So that's something when we have people who've been in the field for a few decades now. It's really interesting to get their perspective, because both of you have seen things change from 20, 30 years being in this field. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen, positive or negative, either or, from your time in the field? Because I've only been in here for a very short time. So
I'll give you a positive and a negative.
There we go.
Let's start with the negative, get it out of the way.
Yep.
The negative is when you do business with the federal government, there comes tons and tons of red tape, documentation, procedures, all sorts of stuff like that. So prior to providing Medicaid services, when services were paid completely locally with local funds, it was a lot less complicated. It was a lot more home-like and just the natural flow of life. But with Medicaid and all that comes with it, and the good and the bad, there's just a lot of documentation. The good is, speaking to what you just said, we've done so much work in the field over the decades from the 60s that people with developmental disabilities are looked at in lots of areas, not everywhere. We've got a lot of work to do, but in lots of areas, especially smaller communities, they're looked at just like you and me.
Yeah.
And I can't stand to see somebody patronizing somebody who has a disability or inviting them to something as a token. It's not right. It's not right. And I know of some organizations in the state that have people with developmental disabilities on their board only because they have a quota to meet. But that's not the case nearly as frequently now as it was over the decades since I've been involved with this mess. Yeah. So it's fun to see the progress and the respect that people are due that they're finally getting.
Yeah, amen to that. I've seen a few people that I am aware of doing like their own podcasts and stuff. And these are individuals who decided that they wanted to do what we do because they can. Yep. And it's like, I'm glad that you have that mindset now. Yep. It is so good to hear that I can versus when so many people have told you that you couldn't, or you have that self-doubt that you couldn't, that you can't accomplish something.
Yep. There are so many people now in the system to support you and services to help make it possible. It's just remarkable, the changes.
Heck yeah.
I love being part of it.
Yeah, and we're working to kind of bring this field into that digital age because a lot of that's fallen behind. And, you know, stuff like what we do is usually last priority. People are still stuck in their newsletter phase and the email world and things are going in a new direction. So do you see down the road a lot of agencies and even boards and stuff going in the direction of maybe more of the newer media and stuff like that? Because we're trying to get ahead of that because we're like, that's where everything is. Everybody's on their phone 24/7.
Right.
And we feel like the disability world should be there also because it's you need to get this stuff in front of people's faces if you want change.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's kind of like technology. My children were born and raised in the era of technology. I wasn't. Yeah. So they know how all of these things work and they teach me how all of these things work. Mm-hmm. So if we get in at the ground floor with technology and it's just another normal part of the day, it's just what people will know eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, apps are appropriate. We need to have communication, better ways of communicating within the digital formats and such. It's important.
Yeah.
We have had a lot of technology-based people, and it sounds like you said, you do it all. So what is there, like, what's the new step? Like, because if you do it all, if you're not, in my eyes, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yes.
So do you have anything that you can say, that you can speak on for some new stuff? Oh, I'm putting her on blast, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't want to give up my secrets.
Okay. No, and that's completely fine. You know, but just promise us when you are ready, we're the first ones to know, and we'll throw it out there.
No, it's funny that you would say that. I was at a conference that wasn't IDD at all, and I wanted that. It was about strategic planning, and I've got to do better with stuff like that. So I went to that, and one of the sessions was about technology and bringing your company into the IA world, you know, kicking and screaming if need be. And I took away a lot from that session. So I have some ideas about things that RHDD can do to set us apart from other providers to make communication much easier between the individuals that we serve, the office that supports them, their staff, the county boards, just trying to connect people in a way. And so I have some ideas on what I want to do with that. And so we're starting to develop that.
There you go. Friends. Yeah, we'll keep it on the hush.
Yeah, I'm not on a podcast right now.
Well, there's a lot more stuff to see. I know there's a lot where you'd like to learn, so we don't want to keep you here all day. If people want to learn more about your provider, where they can get that information, you know, social media, website, all that fun stuff.
Okay. We are at rhdd.org or RHDD on Facebook and Instagram.
All right.
That's it.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and
Thank you.
we're glad you're having fun here because we are as well.
Thank you.
THS Remote Supports is clearly focused on improving independent living through dynamic and personalized services. Their systems have been carefully developed and perfected to ensure that everyone receives the best care through the least intrusive means possible. Located in Cincinnati, Ohio, they've spent over 20 years providing in-home supports to individuals with disabilities. If you or someone you know is looking for a remote service provider, go to thsrss.com or call 513-882-9088.